Hi, my name is Deborah Peters, and welcome back to the Deborah Peters Show. Absolutely a pleasure to have you join me today. This show is about living your life on the leading edge of thought. And I like to bring guests onto the show that are focused on helping you, the viewer, learn how to take your life past anything you've ever experienced before. I mean, why would you want to stay in your comfort zone anyway, right? And so I have a very special guest today I'm going to tell you about in a moment. But let me just kind of dig in a little deeper about the show and what we're all about and why I feel that it makes a big difference in the world. We are creatures of habit. And unless we grow our consciousness, meaning our self-awareness, and raise our vibration, meaning our emotional, mental, and spiritual set points, we have a tendency as human beings to get into ruts and live our lives in a very small circle. So I wanted to create this show to give you tools that would enable you to go past any circumstance that you might be experiencing, no matter how impossible that might look. And I broke those areas of your life down into 5 categories: health, wealth, business, relationships, and self-expression. So, I'm really a big uh, humanitarian when it comes to letting people really figure themselves out and encouraging them to step outside of their comfort zone. Well, the best way that you can do that is to have an arsenal of tools that will enable you to not get sucked back into the status quo, the social norms, and society's rules and regulations. And the best way to do that is to be a master of your own thoughts and your own emotions. Now, I'm always talking about meditation on all my social media channels. And I think I'm probably quite nauseating to all my clients, insisting that they learn how to meditate. So I just thought, I'm just going to, instead of talking about it, I'm just going to bring on someone that is an expert in this field and can absolutely give you an experience today of what it's like to really go into a solid place of peace, harmony, joy, and connecting to your power, so you never feel like a victim again. So today, my guest is K.R. Bala. She's an absolutely beautiful girl from Toronto, I think, right? Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And God bless you for doing the work that you do, because it just makes a difference, such a difference in every human being's life if they just would be willing to spend 10 or 15 minutes a day shutting it all down and surrendering to a meditative process. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And you're kind of a blessing for me too, because I talk to my clients a lot about meditation. I walk them through it, which I don't really have the time for. But if they're really struggling, or if they're involved in some seriously high stake deals, and they're just like redlining their adrenals, then, I've been known to get up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, call my client and walk them through a meditation before they can get going with their day, just to like calm down the cortisol.
Yeah.
So to have access to you as a resource for my company is really cool. And it's interesting too that you can carve this out for yourself and say, I'm a spiritual coach, a meditation teacher, and a writer, and I can make a living at that, helping people feel good about themselves.
Yeah. It's wonderful. But it's also wonderful to know that you can give yourself that peace, and you could give yourself that freedom from basically, like you were talking about, all our conditioning and our programming. That is, and to be honest, when I was younger, especially in my 20s, it was something that I couldn't even imagine possible. It was such a struggle, and it really felt like a superpower. So to be able to help people achieve that is definitely a gift. And then to see them, um, make strides. I just had a client text me this morning, and she was very into guided meditations, and I was slowly trying to, you know, wean her off that, because we
Mm,
really have the ability to do it on our own. All we need is our breath.
yeah.
And so the text that I received was, oh, I was doing my guided meditations and I've been doing it so often that I can now recite it.
Hmm.
And I got to a point where I was getting a little irritated that the guided meditation was preventing me from being with myself.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah. I remember that's how I started too.
It's a great way
So
to start.
yeah, I mean, it got me going, it got
Yeah.
me going. Actually, now that I think about it, it actually really got me interested in going deeper with the power of the mind. And
Mm.
it was at a time before there was any of this talk about neuroscience or I mean, man, I've been doing this since before it was sexy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I discovered someone who had written a book on guided meditations. And then some recordings available. Um, I found, so I always look at things from two angles.
Mm.
One, I'm in it and I'm experiencing the goodness or not, whatever the
Yeah.
case is,
Hmm.
of that tools, for example.
Hmm.
And then there's always another part of me that's outside of the experience,
Mm.
right? Analyzing the experience and going, girl, you could really do something with this. You know, this is really cool. Yeah. And seeing the magnitude of something from a different angle. So when
Mm.
I was studying her material, I was like, wow, imagine doing this at a group level. So I started, when I would speak at events as a keynote, at the end, I would always ask, would anybody be interested in sitting through 10 minutes of a meditation? So I did too. Like I started there with, first I was allowing myself to be guided, and then
Hmm.
I was guiding them. So
It's beautiful.
it is, but you're saying
Hmm.
that this, when someone learns this, it's a tool in their pocket that they can do anywhere.
Absolutely. And you just touched on something that was really interesting, that that there are different parts of you having the experience.
Mhm.
And that's true. There's our soul self, the transpersonal self, that almost, there's a great analogy where our soul is like the composer of our life,
Right.
creating the music. And then there's the the observer self, so our personal self, and that is like the conductor. So that observer self is really important because that is our witness to these things, and it should not really have any emotion tied to it. And then all of these other personalities that we have, whether it be a teacher or a coach or a wife or a husband, whatever it is, those are all the instruments. So
Yeah.
if we're able to, and you can learn how to unify and work all of them in harmony, that's a real true gift. And it's such a balance that you give to yourself.
Yeah, it's good you say that, because I've always sort of had these I call them like a multi-dimensional experience. So if let's
Mm.
say I'm on stage
Yeah.
and I'm on a train of thought and I'm thinking about moving through this train of thought,
Hmm.
then I can have multiple trains of thoughts that feed or not and go different directions or not. And I see it like a web. And it's
Mm.
um if you ever seen like if you're learning how to shoot pool,
Mm.
and if anybody's good at teaching how to shoot pool, they teach you the geometry of it. And you can break open the game, and all the balls move or scatter, and then you can start to draw these like dots, like these lines, the geometry on the table as to where the balls could go, the potential of the movement. And for me, it's like that with ideas.
Yeah.
And it's very busy. So when I meditate,
Yeah.
like all that stops
That's good.
and I just feel nothing.
Oh,
When
no,
I'm
that's,
really deep, it's
yeah.
nothing.
And that's great because, like our mind, the truest and its most truest form is in silence. So we're all just trying to get back to that. And we can with practice, and that's all it is. It is essentially as simple as that. It is practice. It's a lot of it, and it takes time, and it's not a quick fix, but you get
Right.
there.
Right. And so the curiosity is the key. You have to be interested in what you don't know.
And
You have
you
to be
also have to
interested. Go, go,
go
go,
ahead.
go.
No, you have to be interested. You also have to really want the change.
Yeah.
You have to really,
Desire.
it's desire, but and it's also it's a huge commitment. So it's any commitment you make in life, whether it's a diet, whether it's in a relationship, or you're starting a new job. You have to really want this and say, okay, yes. And when you make that yes, you make that choice, and then you start on that path. And like anything else, whether it's a relationship or a job or a diet, it is like this, right? It's never a straight
Mhm.
line. And then you get used to it, you feel it out, you see how you like it, but hopefully you keep returning back to it because you see the rewards. Maybe you're less reactive to something that happened to
Right.
you. Maybe you're noticing, oh wait, I'm thinking too much, let me just get back into whatever I'm doing. Those are great signs that you're making progress.
It is. And so let's then, I think what you're saying is we have to take the judgment out of it. Like there's no right or wrong.
Absolutely not. It's just you're just witnessing. That's all you're doing. What that's all is that's being asked of you is to just witness. And with that witness, so with that witnessing and that observing, you're like you said, you're removing all that judgment and that criticism. And there are stages to it. And as you increase with time and with practice, you start becoming more skilled at say like being aware of when your thought is on a memory or a future event, and then you just bring it back, and then you focus on your breath.
Yeah. I like that because it brings that, there's that peace,
Mm.
and it's interesting when, when I hear people talking about what they want most besides the material things, really comes down to they just want to be free. And
Yeah.
for me, the epitome of freedom is to be at peace.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at peace, you are free. If you have any sort of angst about anything, then you're not free. You're wound up in shoulda, woulda, coulda.
It's yeah. You could be just roaming a beautiful beach or in a great forest, like, and in the beauty of it, and you could have everything. You could have the means, you could have the relationship, you could have the job, you could have it all. But if we're not free in our mind, if we're not at peace in our soul, then we carry that prison with us everywhere.
Yeah, it's the monkey on the back, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah, and
So
that's what they call it. They call it the monkey mind.
the monkey
It,
mind,
yeah.
yeah. I've been I've been meditating for years,
Yeah.
and if I skip a day, man, I really notice it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's something missing all day, like I forgot to eat or forgot to get
Yes.
dressed or something. It's like
And I'm glad you said
crazy.
it because that's how it should be. It's
Yeah,
as if you have forgotten to eat, and it's essential as eating or
yeah,
sleeping.
yeah. It was one day last week. I went out really early for a workout, and then I came back, and that was too
Thanks,
easy to
Tina.
kind of, yeah, I know, too easy to kind of jump into the day, and but I did, and then I stopped partway into getting rolling, and I was like, wait a minute, what am I missing? I haven't meditated.
Mm,
So I took a few minutes, and it doesn't take much. So what's your
no.
favorite What's your favorite form of meditation?
Um, I'm trained in Vipassana meditation, and that is my favorite. And it really, you just rely on your breath. It's concentration, it's insight,
Mhm.
and it's just deepening in, and it's allowing yourself to empty out. How they sort of in the training, how they sort of brought it in terms of an analogy is that when you start, your mind is like a glass with sand and it's been shaken. And then as you sort of settle, that's the sand sort of falls to the base of the glass.
Sure.
That's sort of how it is. Now we are all human and things ping and pong everywhere, you know what I mean? And there's distractions as well. There's environment distractions. There's maybe someone in the house that has sneezed, or maybe there's construction outside, or the doorbell rang. And all of us, we just need to witness. And maybe even a great technique is labeling it, like sound.
Yeah.
Or when you're thinking, just go, not, don't give yourself a possession of it. Just go thinking, not I'm thinking, thinking. And then just
Yeah.
return back to your breath. So that it's that awareness that's very, very important.
Yeah. So you're not being caught up in it.
No, you don't need to. I mean, everything's temporary, and that's what is also the focus. So once you, and that's the insight part of Vipassana is that there's the concentration, which is a lot of other forms teach you, whether it's with mantras or
Yeah.
chanting, and you focus on it. With Vipassana, they definitely ask you to concentrate, and that's with the breath, but it's the insight. And when you bring in the insight, you start chipping away at the ego, and then you start to
Sure.
understand impermanence, and you start to understand Buddhist detachment. And when you really ad- deepen into that, it's such a liberation. And it's not anything about being disconnected or aloof or withdrawing from people, but it's really giving you that freedom to take a risk and to have a more immersive time here on earth while we're here anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if we're uh, revving up, like I was sharing, I have this one client that
Mm-hmm.
redlines his adrenals. And if you're constantly revving up the overthinking
Mm-hmm.
mechanism, then basically what you've done is you've engaged your ego, and your ego can never be as um, powerful
Yes,
as the surrender to your spirit, your inner being,
I believe so too.
even though it tries to tell you that it is, right?
Yeah.
I also noticed that because the nervous system gets so overtaxed, then that's where
Yes.
the health challenges, start to come into play, right? They
100%.
yeah, the body just is like, the body can only take so much, and so
And it does catch up with you.
it does.
It truly does. And all of that emotion, whatever, if you have trauma, whatever pain, heartbreak, it is stored in our bodies and it manifests into different ailments. And I have experience with that I thought everything was okay, but I was like a duck when and underneath the water, I'm like treading madly. But it did catch up to me, and I developed so many different sicknesses and like autoimmune diseases because I wasn't regulating my emotions and I wasn't being aware of even what I was doing with my stomach, all the clenching, all the thinking.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. I
right.
can relate to that. I can so relate to that. I remember
Hmm.
when I first started down this spiritual path,
Yeah.
um, I I went to a workshop in Vancouver, and there was this part of the workshop where we sort of sat around in a circle, and everybody was kind of like sharing their outcomes and their breakthroughs. And there was one point where I said, I'll never forget this as long as I live, because everybody just looked at me like, what? I said, I feel like my life is me going like 150 miles an hour with no brakes.
Mm.
That's how out of control I felt. And I was really trying hard, to your point.
Yeah.
Like I was really working to develop my understanding of my values and some clarity on my goals and like what do I want my life to be like. And I was doing so much work,
Mm-hmm,
which
mm-hmm.
was good because it's something I had never been exposed to before I got into speaking and coaching. So that part was good.
Yeah.
But it was overkill to the point where, like you said, I was disconnected from my feelings. And I think I was just like really hammering on my body, just, working out too much, not
Mm.
eating enough, like staying up too late, like all of the things that will throw your body out of balance, and having body image issues and eating disorders and negative
Mm.
self-talk and low self-worth. And I mean, all of these things, you can only medicate yourself against them so much. And then you got to turn a corner.
You absolutely do. Or you
Yeah.
really, it can be quite detrimental to your health, your mental health, all of it. It does, it truly does just come crashing down. And hopefully it doesn't get to that point for a lot of people, and they turn the corner much sooner than that. But, or sometimes it is that breaking point that allows them to have these awakenings to want to start self-improvement, go down whatever journey it is they can, create some equilibrium in their life.
Yeah. And to get out of the belief system of doing, like I gotta go do this and I gotta go do that and I gotta save this person and I gotta save that person.
Mm.
I'm not enough if I'm not always on the move until I pass out from exhaustion. And yeah.
I could totally
Yeah.
relate. I had this almost like insatiable appetite to almost be busy all the time.
Mm.
And so I definitely can relate. And it's so underrated now to value, to take that pause, to take that break, and just allow your body to recuperate, and also allow for that gap in time for you to be flooded and downloaded, just creative inspiration, to be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, just to just recuperate from all of it, and just take a beat.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know we said I was gonna give you some space in the show to lead a meditation, and I did set a little alarm and it went off. So could you do something with, say, like 6, 7 minutes, just to
Yeah,
give
yeah.
everybody a taste?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we can do a really quick meta meditation, and that is a universal loving kindness meditation. And I think it's really good for people to, incorporate into their existing practice. And it kind of solidifies your journey and advances it and extends it further, because it makes you go beyond yourself. And that is really the true full circle of getting the real benefits of meditation, and going down this path, because we can all, it is very beneficial, meditation and mindfulness, but we need to also learn to be here on this earth, on this world, in our time here, as for not just ourselves. And so here we go. So I'll invite all of
Okay.
you to plant your feet on your floor. Get comfortable in what position you're in. Just snuggle into all the nooks and crannies. I'll invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes, whatever you're comfortable with. And just take one deep breath in from your nose and out through your mouth. Let it all out. If you had a crazy day, you got in a fight with your boss, your spouse was annoying you, your kids were just, there was a racket at home or whatever it was, just take one deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. One last time, deep breath in through your nose. Make it a good one. And out through your mouth. Okay, good. Now, with your eyes closed or gaze softened, I want you to repeat in your head, May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. And may I be loved. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. And may I be loved. Keep breathing and soak in. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. And may I be loved. Now I want you to hold on to that feeling and think about someone that brings you so much joy in your life, so much love, so much support, and so much safety. Hold them into your heart and see their face in your mind. And then say, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be peaceful. And may you be well. May you be loved. Now, this feeling that you have for your loved one, let's carry it over to an acquaintance you have in your life. It could be the barista at the cafe, the bus driver you see every day, or the receptionist at your office. Hold on to that feeling of love and think of them and say, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. Hold on to this feeling, your feeling of universal loving kindness. And now think about someone in your life that you might have conflict with, or is a troublesome person. This may be difficult. It might be uncomfortable. But these feelings that are arising, this is good information. This is good for information for you to release and to integrate and to soften. Now, when you think about them, this person you're having conflict with, say, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be peaceful. And may you be loved. Whatever feelings you're having right now, put no judgment on them. Just observe them and witness them. And it's okay if you don't have these feelings right now. Now return back to your center. Find the rhythm of your breath. In and out. And repeat one last time. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be peaceful. And may I be loved. Carry this feeling for the rest of your day. And it's a feeling you can return to always. Take a few more deep breaths in and out on your own time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you.
It's amazing. It's like
It's very
everything
powerful.
just comes into alignment.
It's very powerful. It was especially very healing for me, something I'm still personally working through, especially that last bit, because it's hard we're all human and we're not taught and we don't practice having those feelings of benevolence for those that we may, you know,
Yes,
uh,
have done us wrong or dislike or
or hurt us in many ways. But it's really the benefit of for our own sanity,
Mhm.
to keep or to transform those feelings into feelings of joy and bliss and peace and love, so we could carry on with our life without any of that poison of resentment and jealousy and envy and guilt or
Sure.
or shame.
Shame. And that's the worst right there. I
It
think
is.
I think there's been a blanket of shame over humanity's spirit for generations, and it's just clearing. You know, it's
Yeah.
right. It's just dissolving now, and so. And I'd like to spend the last few minutes maybe having this conversation around having said that is that healing.
Mm,
So, you know, most of us need to heal,
we do.
and right, and healing needs to happen. I hear the words. I can I can say the words,
Yeah.
but and it's great when I'm coaching someone. I can say those words, but when I'm going through something, let's say I'm
Mm,
hurt about something, and I'm looking at the whole picture of that, and I'm realizing healing needs to happen. Um, Saying the words and experiencing healing are different, but they're not, because if you can call it forward, right? You could say, I receive this healing now,
yes.
and you can call it in, just like you can call in pain and suffering.
I agree. I agree. And there is, though, definitely active work with
Yeah,
healing. There's a lot of act, and it's painful, and it's so uncomfortable, and it's long and arduous, and that's why I believe, and I'm definitely guilty of it. A lot of people avoid it. You know what I mean? There's so many distractors in our life, especially now, where we don't have to face ourselves in the mirror and then look at ourselves for all we
busy, busy,
are.
busy. Yeah,
Yeah.
busy,
Dan
busy, busy.
Dan's card is forever full because we don't want to, because it's very, very, very painful.
Well, I want to I want to debunk that.
Sure.
It can be painful. It
Mhm.
can be. It doesn't have to be. It let's say at its greatest capacity, it's very, very painful.
Sure.
Um, but we can morph that into it being
Beautiful.
actually, yeah. I mean, at the worst case scenario, just feeling odd. Like, what is this? Oh, I'm healing. Oh, this is weird. Don't remember doing that before, but okay, I can do this. You know,
Yeah.
just
Well, and that's healing. It's like you say, it's transforming it and it's integrating it into something else. But it first starts with the harsh truth of what it is, of what you think it is, right? And going through all the different angles and investigating and journaling and some self. And there's so many tools you can do to get yourself to the other place. But I don't, I think there's this misconception that maybe pain is not good, but there's, like, I'm sure we can all agree that most of us, it's through our pain that we've learned the most, and it's through our traumatic experiences or heartbreaks that we've learned the most. And if you can come on the other side, and I think a lot of us can, or all of us can, then you are so much, not to be cheesy and cliche, but you are stronger, and you get so much knowledge and wisdom throughout it. But you also become so much more compassionate and empathetic to another person. And it's like you
yeah.
say, it's transforming that pain. It's going through the forest alone, knowing you're going to get on the other side, but you have to
Here
go
we
through
are.
that. You have to go through
Yeah,
that forest, and you have to do it alone. Well, there's help for sure, but ultimately the work is done alone.
yeah, and it's herd mentality. You know, it's the willingness to release yourself from the group think
Yes.
and to walk the road less traveled. I mean, I am like a road less traveled
Me too.
connoisseur, you know?
Me too. Yeah.
Um, and hey, I'm not going to say that sometimes it's not lonely, but
Right.
there's a difference in being alone and being lonely.
100%. I just wrote an article about that too, and and especially for a woman, I feel like you get to a certain age and there's this like weird stigma that they put on you that you are lonely, like, oh, poor you. And I'm like, well, can it not be a choice? Or
Yeah,
can it not feel even better to be alone than with someone who is not right, or maybe just there for convenience? And something I always say is, you got to be pretty damn special to compete with my own company.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's like I love you, but I love me more.
And that's how it should be.
And that is how it should be. Because if you can't choose yourself first, you can never show up for another person. Like if you can't show up for yourself, honor yourself, meet your own needs emotionally, mentally, spiritually,
Mm.
then you have no business trying to show up for another person. And I think that that's what throws relationships and marriages sideways is, you know, they get into it with thinking this other person is the answer to everything I'm looking
Yeah.
for in my life, and it's like nothing could be further from the truth. And
Yeah.
it's not anyone else's responsibility to fill you up. Like do
No.
that for yourself
Yeah.
first,
I
right?
agree 100%. 100. And then there's so many other and you get yourself into other messes by going down that
I
route.
know. That's true.
Mhm.
So in wrapping up, and I know you've got a guide for everyone, but
Yeah.
before we get there, so essentially, meditation is not something that you do as a crutch. It's not something you do to save your ass from something you've done wrong. It's a lifestyle
Yes.
of getting in alignment with your relationship with your inner being, the part of
Mm.
you, the God force in you that creates, and bringing everything together so that you function as a whole person. And yes, do it before you go to work. Do it before you go on a date. Do you know? Have it be that thing that you rely on rather than what's the next show on some television app or social media scroll or
And you touched on it. At first, you don't need to do it for that long. Just get in the habit, get in even the habit of sitting alone, because that's also very difficult. I know it was for me at first. So, even just a minute or two, just feel that out. Feel how it is just sitting with nothing else, not your phone, nothing. And and then go from there, because like Deborah mentioned, it is a lifestyle, and it does trickle onto every aspect of your life. Like I mentioned, you will become less reactive to things. You will be more patient
no
through
more
this.
road rage.
Yeah. And even in road rage, you could give yourself that. And once again, we're not saying this is going to happen overnight, but with time, when you stick through and you carve yourself a daily meditation practice, yeah, during rush hour traffic, you may not be as irritable, and that comes with time. Like, it's the same thing with a workout routine. If you want to see your six-pack abs, so what do you do? And what do you do consistently, even after you obtain them? So
Yes,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with meditation.
it truly is. This has been amazing. Thank you for walking us through that. So how do people reach you, book a private session, get your guide? What's your URL?
So you could find all that great content at wildsoulbloom.com. And I'm on Instagram at wildsoulbloom. And there's a weekly podcast as well at all your wherever you listen, and it's called Wild Soul Whispers. And on I believe Deborah has the link to my free ebook,
Yeah.
and it's a free guide as well, and it's called Spiritual Fitness, and it really talks about a holistic like lifestyle to get yourself into more spiritual and mental freedom. And that really looks at your diet. It really looks at how much it's exercise, but it's not necessarily a HIIT class, but how much movement are you having on a daily basis? And it could be a really
Yes.
quick walk as well outside, but it's
Bike
also
ride.
it's also giving you integrating a slow spiritual practice. So by the end of it, it sort of it gives you all the tools you need to get you started on your spiritual journey.
Nice.
And that you could subscribe over at www.wildsoulbloom.com and get the free ebook there as well. But I believe Deborah has a link.
Yes, it'll be in the show notes, and it'll be on every major podcast platform where you'll find the Deborah Peters Show, from Rumble, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Amazon Music. I can't even remember them all. So yeah, wherever your favorite podcast listening spot is, I am there. Make sure you drop a comment, like, share, and let us know what you'd like us to see next on the show. It'd be awesome to be able to answer some of your questions. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And
thank you for having me.
I'm just so thrilled at what you're doing and the service that you're offering. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure having you. Remember, I have some leadership and management retreat seminars coming up. Newport Beach, California on November 17th, and then back in Savannah, Georgia on December 8th. And we've got a few more right into Q2 of 2023. So get over to leadershipandmanagementretreat.com for all the information there. Really love you guys. Thanks for being here. And remember, stay aligned, stay alert, and stay awake.